What do you get when you mix a god, a bear, and the Korean people? Sounds like a bad joke, doesn't it? Yet, in all actuality, this formula has more to do with ancient Korea's history than you think. Buckle up everyone, because today's topic is going to be about the Mausoleum of Tangun and how it relates to the origins of the Korean people. The Mausoleum of Tangun is a historic site located in modern-day North Korea. It is believed to be the burial place of Tangun, the legendary founder of Korea. To that end, it is significant to North Korea and its claim to power. The history of the Mausoleum of Tangun stretches as far back as 3000 BC, or so they say. There's actually a lot of uncertainty about this burial site as a result of a lack of transparency and historical research related to it and the history of Tangun. Yet a lack of awareness around the funeral site is just one other reason why we here at Amateur Archaeology want to explore its history with you. To set the stage, we need to premise this by saying that Korea has a long and rich history that dates back to ancient times. The Korean peninsula was first inhabited for more than 70,000 years by hunter-gatherers in small scattered communities. This region has seen the rise and fall of numerous civilizations and kingdoms since then. In fact, Korean mythology tells of the very first Korean kingdom, Gojoseon, which means Old Joseon, that might have consisted of a confederation of tribal chiefdoms living on and around the Korean peninsula. There isn't much that we know about this kingdom outside of references made about it in an ancient book called the Samguk Yusa. Translated as Memorabilia of the Three Kingdoms, the Samguk Yusa is a text that contains historical and mythological records about the kingdoms that make up a large part of the peninsula where North Korea and South Korea now lie. The literature was compiled by a Buddhist monk who is known as Iryeon, who is supposed to have lived from 1206 to 1289 AD. While the text pulls from a variety of records, it is said that most of the contents of the book are devoted to the Shilla Kingdom, said to have been in dominion in the southern and central regions of the Korean peninsula from 57 to 918 AD. This leaves little in comparison for the other two kingdoms, the Goguryeo and Baekje kingdoms, north and west of the Shilla Kingdom respectively. In the case that folklore and other records outside the general history of these ancient Korean kingdoms are compiled into the Samguk Yusa, it is debatable whether the material is historically accurate. The legend of Tangun Wangam is one piece of literature recorded in the Samguk Yusa. There it describes how this founder of a northern kingdom preceded this period with the three kingdoms of Shilla, Goguryeo, and Baekje. Can you guess what it is? Yes, we are going back to Gojoseon. Before Gojoseon though, there was Tangun, the man credited with introducing good governance through his rule and to creating what we now know as Korean culture. His story begins with the Lord of Heaven, Hwanin, who had a son named Hwanung. Hwanung expressed to his father how he wanted to live on the earth, and his father permitted him to go along with 3,000 of his followers. The kingdom they established on the Baekdu Mountain, located on the border between North Korea and China, was a prosperous place. According to legend, this is where Hwanung taught the people in the region about laws, moral codes, arts, agriculture, and medicine. Among these, the practice of acupuncture and the burning of mugwort for medicinal therapy. At this point in the story, two animals, a tiger and a bear, approach the god Hwanung and make a request. They want to become human. Hwanung gave them a quest to fulfill that would turn them human if they passed, and the bear was the only one that was able to make it through the trial, becoming a human woman. This woman is said to have become Hwanung's wife, and together they gave birth to Tangun Wangam. From there, the Samguk Yusa describes how Tangun established a new city and kingdom, the Gojoseon Kingdom, around 2333 BC, where he ruled for several centuries before his death. Historically speaking, Gojoseon was a powerful and influential kingdom that controlled much of the Korean peninsula. It is said to have had a complex system of government, with a central ruler supported by a council of nobles and a bureaucratic system. The kingdom was also known for its advanced culture, which included a written language, a system of laws, and a sophisticated system of agriculture. And yet, over time, Gojoseon began to decline in power, and it eventually fell to a series of invasions by neighboring kingdoms around 108 BC. The last ruler of Gojoseon, King Wu, was defeated by the Han Emperor of China in 108 BC, and the kingdom was absorbed into the Chinese Empire. The region was governed by the Chinese for years after that, until the Han Empire faced political collapse in the 3rd century, leading to the creation of the three kingdoms, Goguryeo, Baekje, and Silla, right where the Samguk Yusa picks up. Over 600 years later, the Joseon dynasty is said to have looked to Tangun Wangam as the ancestral foundation for their legitimacy as kings. Rituals were dedicated to his memory, and this grew into worship of the gods mentioned in the legend of Tangun. This explains the ceremonial or religious aspects of the Mausoleum of Tangun, as it might have been used as a worship site for the people who revered Tangun as a symbol of their political and cultural heritage. Tangun continued to be a figure of importance among Korean independence activists during Japanese occupation from 1910 to 1945, one such activist being Kim Il-sung, who would later become the leader and founder of North Korea. He is also the father of Kim Jong-il and grandfather of Kim Jong-un. Kim Il-sung became a proponent for the Communist Party in Korea during World War II and gained prominence among the Russians, who administered over the northern regions of Korea following the war. He was a firm believer that Tangun was a historical figure and supported expeditions to find evidence of the fabled ruler when he came to power in North Korea. It was in October 1993 that news related to these expeditions of the alleged burial site were announced in a report by North Korean researchers. They identified the remains of a man and a woman dating back to 3000 BCE. Kim Il-sung then designated the area of Pyongyang, where the site was located, as a cultural site in 1994, and efforts were then devoted to the excavation and restoration of this tomb. It was assumed that the remains of Tangun and his wife were the ones discovered in Pyongyang, and the resulting mausoleum to reflect the same reverence for Tangun as the demigod ruler and the priest of the Gojoseon. Situated on the slopes of Mount Taesong, a sacred mountain in Korean folklore, the entire complex takes up an area of 1.8 kilometers squared. There are three main parts to the site itself: a restoration work area, a stone statue area, and the burial site. The stone statue area encompasses the immediate area around the restoration work area, identifiable by the large pyramid structure atop the original burial site. It includes numerous statues of priests, iconography related to the legend of Tangun and the gods referenced in his story, and also depictions of King Tangun and his sons. These statues decorate the expensive stone pathway leading up to the summit, which overlooks the town below it, along with the mountain range that surrounds the area. To memorialize the 1994 dedication of the area, 1,994 blocks of stone were used with the construction of a step pyramid at the site, with flat stone platforms that ascend in incremental steps to a height of 22 meters. The structure is covered with a dome-shaped roof, and each corner of the pyramid has tiger statues. Smaller buildings surrounding and structures including a gate, a wall, and series of buildings used for various ceremonial purposes make up the rest of the restoration work area. Public ceremonies are still held today by the North Korean government to commemorate the events in the legend of Tangun and in North Korean history, like the founding of the Gojoseon Kingdom on October 3rd. From the peak of the original burial site underneath the pyramid contains a number of stone chambers and passages. The main chamber of the Mausoleum of Tangun is said to contain a large stone coffin where the remains of Tangun himself were found. The mausoleum also features an altar that is said to be used for religious ceremonies and offerings to the king. Needless to say, North Korea does not make it a secret that they, like the ancient Joseon dynasty, look to this cultural heritage as a claim to their legitimacy and evidence for the Korean people stemming from one ethnic group. Knowing this, why isn't the site more well known? To understand why, we have to dive deeper into some controversy over the items discovered at the site. Although the tomb is said to have been built by Tangun's descendants to honor his memory, the exact date of its construction is not known, but it is thought to have been built sometime during the ancient Korean kingdom of Gojoseon or the subsequent Three Kingdoms period. Certain nails dated from the funeral site suggest that they were added later on, as if people discovered and renovated the mausoleum sometime after it was constructed. In addition, recent analysis of the soil samples of the area do not support the historical legends. Since the time period of these nails are associated with the Goguryeo period, a time between 37 BC and 668 AD, some South Korean historians claim the location could simply be the tomb of a regional power of the Goguryeo kingdom instead. This has led to some doubting whether the academic study there is influenced by political bias, in the case that North Korea is using this cultural site as a way to bolster its legitimacy and encourage reunification with South Korea. These allegations are compelling because North Korea has refused independent testing to verify their findings, and the government of North Korea only opens to visitors on a limited basis. So, yeah, we don't really know. The Mausoleum of Tangun is an important cultural and historical site in North Korea. It is visited by thousands of tourists every year and is considered a symbol of national pride and identity. Despite its historical significance, the Mausoleum of Tangun has also been the subject of controversy and speculation over the years. Some historians believe that the site was not actually built to honor Tangun, but rather was constructed as a propaganda tool by the North Korean government to promote a mythic version of the country's history. Regardless of its true origins, the Mausoleum of Tangun remains an important and fascinating piece of Korean history and culture. It is a testament to the enduring power of myth and legend in shaping the identity of a nation and its people. Knowing this, we hope to shine a bit of light on how culture and history continue to shape our communities all around the world. We make it a goal here on our channel to shine light on the various sites, like the Mausoleum of Tangun, to give them the spotlight they deserve. If you enjoyed this video, like it and subscribe to the channel so we can all spread awareness on more ancient sites across the world. Please share this to a fellow history lover that you know. Turn notifications on as well so you don't miss any of our authentic ancient coin giveaways. We'll see you next time only on Amateur Archaeology.